Rick,
Megan, it's
it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. It is.
Yeah,
Jinx. Yeah, it's a hot Tuesday. Summer is upon us.
all of a
And
sudden, like bam.
I know, just like that. Here it is. June gloom didn't seem to hang around too
Ah,
long.
really
Looks like
didn't. No, it's
looks like we're right in it.
sunny
I
out
make a
early.
note because if it's
Yeah,
gloomy, then I'm affected mentally. I cannot handle June
yeah.
gloom.
I don't do gloom. I
I don't
couldn't
do
do it.
gloom.
Sorry.
I'm gonna get a
Mm-mm.
shirt that says I don't do gloom.
We should
So
trademark that.
yeah, I think that's a good one. Last week, I checked the stars, and the sky and the galaxy and the whole thing to
Hmm.
see if Mercury was in retrograde. Have you heard of this Mercury in retrograde? Yeah.
No.
So it's probably not something I bet you the gals in your family know all about it. So when Mercury's in retrograde, things happen and you're like,
Okay.
what in the hell is going on here? Nothing's going right. Everything's going wrong.
Oh
Turns
boy, it
out
does feel that way.
Mercury's in retrograde. I looked it up on
Okay.
Google last week, and Mercury was not, in fact, in retrograde. So I was in this by myself, this situation. And it was one thing after another. I mean, the worst of the worst stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
And if I told you, I'd have to pay you to listen to the things, okay? But I want to talk about this one particular thing that happened because I
Mm.
feel like, you know, that every all the things happen to everybody, no matter what, things happen. So I had gotten a call for a listing appointment while we were away in Yellowstone. And so we had made the appointment for when I got back. And you know how it is when you get back from vacation. It's just like, whoa, it's a lot of stuff to do. And
Mhm.
I got over there lickety split, and it was a trust. And there were three
Mhm.
siblings, and I was interviewing for the listing. And I went over there and I immediately hit it off with these people. I love these people. Okay. And for me, I like to, because, when you're in a real estate transaction, you're going to be working with the people for a while, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting the house ready, the whole thing. It could be 2 months minimal kind of a thing, right? And I
Hmm.
don't have to love everybody, but it's just really nice every once in a while to like hit it off, with somebody.
Hmm.
And so I hit it off with these people. I mean, we were like
Nice.
peanut butter and jelly. And I don't go on a lot of listing appointments that are strangers because I get a lot of, referrals, that
Mm,
sort of thing.
referrals. Yeah.
Repeat people.
Hmm.
And I left and I got in the car and I was like, damn, am I good? I am so good. I got
You're a
all
rock
the
star.
information. I knew. I mean, I was like walking on
Yeah.
sunshine. Hell, I was like, we are a team. Woo, 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 woo. Okay. So the next day I sent a follow-up text and I'm like, oh, it was so good to meet you guys last night. I'm really looking forward to learning, more or whatever the follow-up was. And they were supposed to, and when we left, I said, send me your emails. And so I can send you the follow-up on this appointment we had, because we kind of came up with some strategies.
Hmm.
And then I wanted to get them an escrow estimate and that sort of thing. And I didn't hear anything back. And I thought, oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe they're driving or, whatever. And that was like at 9 a.m. So at 6 p.m., I was like, hey, just in case you missed it, could you send me? And nothing, crickets,
Mm. Wow.
not a peep.
Wow.
So then I called on Friday, left a message. I thought maybe something happened, and who knows? So I left a message and I said, hey, I want to do my job. I want to finish this
Yeah.
interview. I
Yeah.
can't finish it
Right.
without this information.
Hmm.
Didn't hear a thing. And I thought, I hope this person is okay because I'm emotionally invested in this situation. I hope that they didn't get in a car accident that night. It's just so weird.
Hmm.
Why would somebody not text me back or something? I don't, what the hell is going on here? So I kind of thought, all right, now it's the weekend. And I got a text on, oh gosh, I think it was Sunday or Monday or something. And it said, it was from somebody else that was there that I didn't even have their number in the first place. And they said, thanks for your ideas and your suggestions. And we've chosen another realtor. I go, what?
What?
What? I didn't even get to finish this. I didn't even get to send all the info. And so I said, okay. Because when somebody says they have another realtor, I don't just go, I don't get immediately salty, like, wah, wah, wah. I mean, it is what it
Hmm.
is, you know? The thing
Hmm.
is, in this business, you have to be doing enough good things. You have to have enough good things going on. So when something goes ugly, that your world isn't rocked, right? Because it's going to happen. So
Right.
I was like, well, gosh, somebody definitely did it better than I did. Good for them. Congratulations. Can't get them all. And I said, um, just for my personal, growth and development, what was the thing that, you chose the other realtor for? Because, some feedback would be good. It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah, yeah.
I
For
spent,
future reference.
yeah, I've spent 45 minutes putting
Hours.
together a presentation. I spent an hour at your house. Like, what happened? Just tell me, like, did my breast stink, or the other realtor was doing this for free, or what's the deal? Just tell me. Never responded. Never responded. And I thought we were kin after that
Wow, that's
meeting.
disappointing.
I
Wow.
know, but it happens. It happens, but it doesn't really, but it's like, geez. So I wanted to put a message out there to people that deal with realtors, and that is that we are in fact human beings, and it's nice
Hmm.
to, just like anybody you deal with, if you don't give them the job and they ask why, just tell them the truth.
Yeah, some courtesies, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Interesting.
uh,
That's disappointing. That's very disappointing
yeah,
on many
I
levels.
love that house. Oh man, I would have done
Oh,
great things with that house, but that's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. I
well, it's their
still need,
loss at the end of the day. And,
oh, well, thank you.
it really is.
What was that song? Nobody will recognize it probably now, but hey, Sarah, Sarah, whatever will be. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was just, we're always telling success stories, and every once in a while, things
Yeah,
happen.
no, it's, people think that what we do is super fun and easy, and sometimes it is. But, a lot of times it's not because it is a lot of work and there's a certain skill set to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time invested, and a lot of experience, a lot of history in doing these things and how to guide people. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's hard not to take it personally when you spend this much time with someone, give them the right guidance, tell them all the right things, and then they just ghost you. It's
Yeah, I
like
know. Ghosting,
something's,
exactly. That's what the kids would say.
it's, yeah,
Especially, when you're, I mean, if I was like a brand new or unskilled or
yeah, for
they
sure.
called
Hmm.
me for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mm.
so I wanted to talk today because the market is changing. Finally, geez, like,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
man, the
Finally.
market was like the Rock of Gibraltar, and for so long it was like, what is it going to take? And, interest rates doubling, just all this bananas baloney.
Hmm.
And here
Hmm.
we are. So, just to give a little market update, it's really simple. Your house has to be compelling to be selling, has to be compelling to be selling. So, you've got the price, that's sort of the umbrella, and all of the things have to fit under the umbrella. If your house is in a great location, then the price should reflect the great location. If it's in a crummy location, price should reflect it's in a crummy location. If it's
Hmm.
remodeled or not remodeled or whatever the case may be, that's got to be under the umbrella of the price. The price,
Hmm.
coming up with the price, and the initial, pricing strategy is very important, even when the market's changing.
Hmm.
Um, so what I did here was I came up with a couple of points about when it is time to lower your price as a seller,
Okay.
because I don't think a lot of realtors out there, I mean, if they've been licensed in the last 5 or 6 years, there have not been in a market where you're lowering prices, houses are sitting for longer. What are their strategy? What are they
Hmm.
doing? So my first point, before a seller lowers a price, they have to look at the initial strategy. Okay. Did their realtor market the hell out of their house? Is it,
Hmm.
are the pictures great? The description, is it on social media? And then it's usually on all the reciprocating websites once it's in the MLS.
Hmm.
Has it been networked? Have there been flyers? What has your realtor done to expose your house? And by the
Hmm.
way,
Hmm.
the first week the house goes on the market, that's when most the marketing's got to hit. It's got to hit right away, immediately. Video tours, reels, just all this stuff, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And after that, I mean, you're expecting to get offers, but it's going to have to start repeating some things the longer it sits on the market. So
Hmm.
evaluate. Was my listing properly launched into the real estate world? Was my house accessible to be shown? Or were
Hmm.
there too many restrictions? If there's a lot of restrictions, that's going to restrict the amount of people that are going to come to see your house and the amount of offers you get. Believe it or not, I know it sounds like rocket science, is directly related to how many people come to see your house. It's that simple. The more, the merrier. And you've had all this time to think about how your house is going to be shown. So you should have a plan. If you've got a challenging schedule, little kids, animals, whatever it is, before you put your house up on the market, come up with a showing plan with your realtor. Okay. Now, we said, how was my house marketed? How accessible was my house?
Hmm.
Um, how many people came through my house? Right now, what I'm seeing, and this is just local to Anaheim, and I have a lot of listings, so I can say these types of things. What I'm
Hmm.
noticing is that for every 12 showings, there's one offer. Okay. So if you want multiple offers, you got to show your house 24,
A
36,
lot.
50 times in the first week.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And that includes open house guests as well. Okay.
Sure.
So if you've had 40, 50 people through your house, you've had one offer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Your realtor's done their job getting the people in the house, but for some reason, your house isn't compelling them to write an offer. So the next step is, has my realtor been giving me the feedback on the showings? What are people saying after they leave my house? What is the consensus? And like, we have a spreadsheet where every time we have a showing, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we update it. Here's what they said. Here's what they said. And the seller has access to it. And we send it to them every Friday and all this kind of stuff. But, is the feedback something that you can change, right? Obviously, if the feedback is, oh, the neighbor house looks terrible, can you change that? No. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can send your
Right.
gardener
Hmm.
over there, go knock on their door. But if they're saying a house needs work or what have you, then you've got to take that to heart, because most people are not going to, realtors are not going to answer the request for feedback, unfortunately.
They
Um,
don't. Right.
so, but just assume that they're probably in the same ballpark as the feedback that you're actually getting, that they're just clients just not excited about your house. So if it's been a month, you've had 30, 40, 50 people through your house, you don't have any active offers, it's probably time to make a price adjustment. And how
Hmm.
much of a price adjustment do you make, right? Well, I mean, that just depends on what price range you're in. Obviously, a $2 million house, adjusting $5,000 is ridiculous, right?
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got if you've got a house, let's say that's 900,000, you are looking at, you got to reduce the price. I mean, you've got to,
Hmm.
if you haven't had any offers, that means that you're not even kind of close to to
Right.
what it's going to
Right.
sell for. So, I mean, really, if you want to rocket ship this again, then you should lower it to like 849.9, and then hopefully you get an offer 860, 870, something like that. But along with a price reduction, that gives the realtor the opportunity to make an announcement and to relaunch your listing so that it gets legs again and gets seen,
Right.
you know, because somebody that can afford, if it's listed at 899.9, if they were in the 880, 890 price range, they've already seen your house. So you need to get it to the next group of people and really get attention. You know, you
Yeah, the
can,
market that's under 850, for example.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
reduce it to 8, you know, you can reduce it 10,000. Sure, you do whatever you want. But really, to make an impact and to get as much attention as possible, because sometimes when people make little price adjustments, it doesn't work. And then you're
Yeah, it
chasing the
doesn't get the
market.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to keep.
Would you say though, but is it fair to say though, Megan, in a lot of these instances where there's a price reduction, that maybe the house was priced too high to begin with? Because you get all
Yeah.
the marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the house
Mm-hmm.
is not priced correctly,
Mm-hmm.
that, that could be a trigger too,
I
I
think that's
suppose, right?
probably true in like maybe, oh gosh, this is an unofficial number. I'm gonna say in like 80% of the cases where there's a price reduction, that it
hmm
was too high to start with. Yeah.
And how much of that, I'm just curious, so how much of that, let's say the house is overpriced, how much of that is an agent that gives the seller a super high price to win the listing? Or
Mm,
is it a seller that's just resistant to the reality of what their house is really worth? I mean, or
mm-hmm,
is there a balance there? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause in my experience, I've never met a seller yet who thought their house was not nicer than the house next door, even though it
mm-hmm,
wasn't,
mm-hmm,
right? In my view at least. So I mean, so sellers, I think sometimes that's almost like an ego thing, maybe, right? So
mm-hmm,
the neighbor sells their house at a certain point, they think, well, their house is worth more. They got to prove that their house is worth more and try to sell it for more. And they go, well, let's give it a shot.
mm-hmm.
I guess. I mean, I guess that happens sometimes too, right? And if
Yeah.
the agent is really strong, they can really argue the case of, like you just laid it out perfectly well, by the way, as what are the driving motivators that make the house sell,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't meet too many sellers that are like real rigid on their idea of pricing. Like most people, you have logic in effect. And so
hmm
you just have to explain to them how you came up with the price that you're suggesting. And it's really simple. It's not rocket science. So by the
hmm
time,
hmm
I mean, you hope that by the time you've explained this to them and then how you came to that conclusion, that they
hmm
will uh, cooperate and agree, and you can go on with your plan. Because if that listing is not launched absolutely correctly, seller's market, buyer's market, whatever market we're in,
Right.
you're chipping away at your potential net, uh, you
hmm
know,
hmm
net
Yeah.
funds to you. Yeah, it's got to be just right. It's got
Yeah.
to smell good, look good, clear
hmm
off the counters, put the laundry away. It's like if the
No clutter.
furniture's too big, clear it out. I mean, it's a whole thing, you know? So
Good
that,
point.
yeah. So that's how you know when to lower the price. And um, the biggest bite you can take out of it, especially if you don't have any offers. If you were close, you would have had offers, but you're not
hmm
close.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But is
Yeah.
there is there a timeline that you would look at in terms of when you've done all the work, you've launched the house correctly, let's
Mhm,
say,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
But is there a timeline you would look at to when you got to say, well, this is not really working at this price point? Is that 30 days out? Is it 45?
That's a good
You know?
question. So I like to do it at 3 weeks,
Okay.
maximum 4 weeks.
Okay.
And that's because even though the market is changing, it's still a fast moving market for the right properties,
hmm
and you're getting
hmm
left behind. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Okay.
I would do it
Fair
pretty
enough.
quickly. I would suggest it pretty quickly because,
Yeah.
you want to, plus it's like, you've probably picked this certain time of year to sell your house. Like you don't want to be doing this for the whole year.
Yeah, and you want to get moved. You want to move to the
Yeah,
next location, wherever
get
that might
moving,
be.
get out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, and we're coming up on this magical time of summer where school starts, like usually the first week, second week of August. And so we've got a couple more weeks to push here to get this summer market done and get people where they need to be
Mm-hmm.
before school starts again. So
Very good.
good luck, everybody.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, look, it's still a good market, and I can say also from my experience that, buyers who are serious are making good offers.
Yeah,
And thankfully, people think, well, the market's slow. I think you and I could both agree the market's not really slow, it's balanced, right?
yeah. Well, yeah.
We're used to this market where there was no balance, there was no logic,
Hmm.
right? And now we're back to, well, guess what? Now you have to kind of do the right things, launch the property, do all the right things, and use certain skill sets
Right.
to make things work now. And
Yeah.
that's fine,
Yeah.
as it
I like
should be.
I love
Yeah.
skill sets. All right, Rick. Well, thanks for listening to my sad, sad story of
I hate when I hear that though.
rejection.
Gosh, they have no idea what they missed out on. Sorry for them.
I know. I will be watching to see who did get the listing and
Yeah, I
critiquing
want you to
them
tell me
in my
about it
head.
too. Yeah, I want to hear
I'll
it.
be like, tisk, tisk, tisk. No, just kidding.
That's right.
Whatever. All right. Well, thanks, Rick. I appreciate you,
Thank
and
you,
we'll see
Megan.
you next
Appreciate
week.
you. See you next week. Take care.